All right, so what do I have planned for you guys today? I'm gonna do an unboxing, my first unboxing video. I got a Dewalt thickness planer that I picked up today. Not a sponsored video. Dewalt didn't give me the planer, had to pay for it. Nobody paid me for it, I bought it. So I'm gonna unbox that, kind of give you a little bit of a novice's feedback. Never used a thickness planer before, so gonna be probably my biggest tool investment. What else am I gonna do? I'm also going to, well, we'll see if I get to it, but I've got all of these cheap little corner clamps, and in the past I've always just stuck them to something on the wall and kind of tightened them down, and I'm thinking they've got this flat section here, and I've got a handful of them. I'm thinking with a planer I could potentially turn some pallet wood into some decent wood and just put them on the wall. Something, you know, somehow well, some engineering left to do, but stick that to the wall like that and just make it so I can stack them up. Really easy, nothing really sophisticated. I don't like storage that requires that I open and close drawers, or I like stuff that's really readily available. I find that tools that are at a hand's reach or arm's reach are a lot more likely to get used and a lot less likely to get lost throughout the shop. So I'm going to do the unboxing and then try to do a little bit of engineering, and I'm not sure if I'm going to split that into two separate videos or if I'm going to try to kind of squeeze it all together. Like I said, never done an unboxing before, so we'll see how that goes and go from there. All right, so I don't have a nice big assembly desk like our workstation, counter, workbench like a lot of people with the shop do, at least not yet. So we do our unboxing on the floor. So I guess let's dig into it. So I guess obviously the first thing we're gonna do is just, I guess maybe I could have done this off camera, but just get the plastic off of here. There's some staples in there, so I'm gonna try not to hit my knife with it, or hit the staples with my knife. And I'll just try to brute force my way through the staples there. There we go. Big chunk of styrofoam. Kind of sticking. Nice big chunk. As much as I don't like overpacking on a lot of stuff, I do like when they're styrofoam, because nothing against the shipping companies, none in particular, they all beat the crap out of these boxes, and you can kind of see by looking at it, the sides of the boxes, it's shipped in this box. It's not like they put a package around it and ship it to the store. It's always crazy. You look at them online and they show the picture of the box and everything, and they're like, wow, they spent a lot of money on, you know, making these boxes for a lot of things, and then they ship them and they look like garbage. I know the box says team lift or whatever. 2 people are supposed to lift these. I don't have a second person, so if you feel like following the rules and not getting hurt, don't do what I do. My little legal disclosure. All right, well, it looks like there is literally nothing else in the box other than another chunk of styrofoam, so we'll leave that at that. Bust into this. Little manual. If you're smart, keep that around. If you're like most of us, forget where you put it. All right, so we got the little crank. Looks like a threaded shaft here. So that should just, that actually has a little keyway almost. So it doesn't look like there's a lot to that. You just put it on there and that's all there is to it. Cardboard box in here. Looks some little oil spots or something, maybe the lubrication of the adjusters. I don't know if there's actually anything in here, but it's taped shut, so let's check it out. Well, the dust extraction. and a little hose connector or whatever. So unfortunately at this point I don't have a dust collector or dust collection system, so this is going to basically just make the dust not go everywhere. I've seen some online that actually won't work without these, so I don't know if there's like a safety for that, or if they're just meant to blow the crap everywhere. I guess personally, if it'll run with this on it and let me eject it out despite the fact that I don't have anywhere to put it, at least then I'd have just a dedicated pile of sawdust. That would be ideal. I know the Dewalt has, once you get to where you want it, there's a little lever on the top. Let's see if I can turn this for you. If you've watched any other demonstration videos or unboxings or anything like that of this planer, by the way, this is the DW734. This is the 12.5 inch, not the 13-inch planer. So this one costs, from my research, about $200 less than the 13-inch planer. I just didn't want to spend the money, and I've never had a planer before, so I figured 12.5 is 12.5 more than I've ever had. But so once you do the adjustment, you can push this little bar down, and that will kind of lock the I don't know what it's called, this top piece with the blades in it, so that you don't get the ends to taper off because of the load and the feed rollers and heads and stuff like that. So that's kind of the idea with it. I don't know if it works or not. It's the idea behind it. There's a little spot on the back here. Looks like it's meant to be, I bet you it's actually probably, I don't know, the dust collector will go on there. I think it's meant for the cord to wrap around there. I don't know how many people set these up and really use them that temporarily that they actually want a spot for the cord, but hey, if that's the case, that's awesome. They've got, again, as you saw me undo it, those are actually on kind of a nice little tensioner or something inside of there. You got the big safety button there. On the side here, you got a big thing showing you how thick your planing is going to be. You got the little thing there showing you how thick you're starting off at. So I mean, I love the fact that there's basically no assembly. I really do like that. The fact that I've never used one, I think I will actually probably take a little bit of time to maybe read a manual or something. Probably not as much as I should. Not really sure how you're supposed to use those, if that's supposed to be for storage or something like that. Oh, that's handles for lifting. They got a little sticker on the side that shows Team Lift again, that it's telling you it's 80 pounds, so that's for carrying it around. Again, that just kind of comes off. Not sure exactly how I feel about that. It does give you little measurements on here showing you that like a quarter turn is so much and so on and so forth. So goes that way is down, and then 1/16th, 1/64th, 1/32nd, so on and so forth. It's kind of cool. It gives you a little thing right on there. So for precise adjustments, you can just go like that, and there's a little arrow in here. So yeah, give me a second, and oh, just found tools inside of it. That's pretty cool. Nice little spot to store it. I love when tools come with somewhere to store the tools that are used for them, because inevitably they go on the workbench, and if your workbench is anything like mine, it ends up being a pile of stuff, and then when it's time to clean it, it just goes in a drawer somewhere. That might be a circumstance of just not having a drawer for everything that I have, but it's a work in progress. So as I was about to say, give me a second. For me, it's going to be a couple minutes. For you, like that, and then we'll come back and we'll send some wood through this thing. So see you in a second. Well, I guess what I'm noticing is in crappy wood like this, I mean, it's trying to bust apart the way it is, but I just wanted to run crap wood through it kind of learning a little bit about, at least with crap wood, how much to do an adjustment to make it at least sound like it's not too aggressive. I'm sure reading the manual would tell you the maximum, but I mean, what a book tells you to do, I mean, that's kind of saying don't do more than that, but that doesn't actually mean go all the way there. So I figured I'd just try it a little bit. Maybe not the smartest try, but or smartest thing to do. We got one side actually looking really, really good as far as good as crap wood can look. The wood does have quite a bit of contortion in it, so it's not like I'm going to get this to be a good piece of wood running it through a planer. This needs a jointer. Well, this needs a fire pit. But just to kind of see what kind of finish I'm getting from it, I'm really not seeing a lot of markings from the blades. The crap side here more than the good side. The good side, I really hardly see any marks from the blades themselves. Actually, shouldn't even say hardly any. Really, you can't see it. Now, would I sand it before using it as a finished project? Yeah, but I mean, I would sand almost anything unless the last step that I did was a drum sander, but that's sanding. So, I mean, I tried to make it so that the dust would go in there. It didn't look like a lot of it was being cut, seeing what comes out the front, but there's actually a lot in the box here. It's my crappy way of trying to minimize the mess. I am running it with the dust extraction thing attachment on here without suction, so I don't know how much less would be coming out the front if I would take this off and just let it blow around. Not looking to do that, so not gonna. But yeah, I mean, for anybody that's looking to take their woodworking to the next level, I think a planer is a great tool for that. It's something that makes it so that you can use crappy wood, not this crappy, but I mean, you can use less expensive, maybe even free if you can get some decent pallets, popping them apart, and you can actually get a mix of good lumber and that rustic look you're looking for in pallet wood. I think they're not cheap, but they're not the most expensive tool. I mean, this is a Dewalt, it's a a name brand one, and this retails for $3.99. So it's not like you need to go out and buy a $2,000 tool. You don't need to be looking for that stuff if you're a home woodworker. That's my opinion. Again, like I said in a previous video, if you have the money, go for it. Most of us don't necessarily fall into that category when we're trying to, set up a full shop. Kind of starting with what we can afford, little by little, so that we can get into more projects. And I honestly went to the store looking to buy either this or a bandsaw, and I settled on this because, well, ultimately, a bandsaw was actually meant for me. My purposes of it were, one, to make it so I didn't need to buy a table saw yet, because my dad has one, so I can use his, and he's only a mile and a half away from me, so if I need to, I can go use his. And additionally, the other reason I wanted a bandsaw was to cut down stock that I was going to use for something like an inlay and maybe a cutting board or something like that. So I didn't want the table saw's blade width to really waste that much material. Well, at the end of the day, anything that I'm doing an inlay with, I mean, I guess maybe I could get away with sanding it, but it's got to go through a planer anyway. So, I mean, for now, I think this is a better investment. I could probably go pick up a cheap bandsaw, and I say cheap, I mean relatively cheap bandsaw, and still run it through a planer and a sander and get the same result, or almost the same result, maybe just a little bit more finishing than I would need if I would get an expensive bandsaw. So I started with this. Next on the list is probably a bandsaw, but for now, this is what we've got. So I'm going to start doing some engineering on the clamp storage, and I don't know if I'm going to use pallet wood or 2x4s or other scraps. I've got plenty around, so I'll do a little bit of engineering, and after this we'll see if I actually came up with anything, or if the video goes to end and stuff like that. Then I guess you realized at that point that I couldn't think of anything, or at least didn't want to record it. So let's see what happens. Alright guys, so today what we did is we used my brand new thickness planer to take a absolute piece of crap pallet board, planed it down so that it was just kind of a little bit more smooth, uniform, took the crappy bit out of the center of it, cut it into 3 pieces, and made a little shelf for me to keep my corner clamps on. What's kind of cool is I actually got a chance to use not only my new tool, but I got to use my corner clamps on my new project. So it's always kind of fun when you can use what you plan to use the tools for in a project. So something like that is kind of, I don't know, ironic using it in itself. It's not the fanciest thing. It's a little crooked. It's kind of cool because it's kind of temporary. It's not actually screwed into the wall. I don't know if you caught that. I made the little keyhole screw holes for the screws to be able to just slide on and off the shelf. Not really anything terribly exciting, but just kind of a cool little project. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I'm always looking for feedback. I haven't really gotten much for comments as of yet in these videos. If you're seeing a ton of comments down there, that's awesome. That means somehow I got popular on YouTube. If you have any questions, like I said, definitely let me know. Right now I have the ability to answer your questions if you have them. Any feedback, as long as it's not mean, I'll invite it. If it's mean, I'll delete it or something. Other than that, have a great day.